let's begin. So remember, the strategy that we are using to read these sentences, guys, is that we are looking for words that we are unfamiliar with. We are looking for words that we are unfamiliar with. Remember, some of the words you may be unfamiliar with them. So we are looking for those words first, the unfamiliar ones, because that is how we are going to learn the words that we don't know and be able to read them along with words that we know. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and let's look for words that we are unfamiliar with. Let's look for words that we are unfamiliar with. So always remember to scan through your story or whatever text you're reading. Remember to scan through it, which means you look from the right to the left, from the right to the left, and you actually try to see what words there you do not know so that you would be able to call the words. You want to be able to call the words, okay? So that's your job now, guys, to be looking for words that you are unfamiliar with. Go ahead and start looking for the words that you're unfamiliar with. So everybody, that's your job. Go ahead and look for the words that you're unfamiliar with. Go ahead and look for words that you're unfamiliar with. And we are going to be calling those words. Okay, we're going to call those words. So what are some of the words that you guys are unfamiliar with? What are some of the words that you guys are unfamiliar with? There are words here that you are not able to call. Maybe you have never seen them before, but you have heard them. So that's one of the things. We may have never seen the words, but we have heard them. So, for example, one of the words that you guys may have problem with is this word. And this one. If there are any that I do not underline, be sure to highlight in the comment section because these may be words that you really don't know. Remember, the strategy that we're using is to learn to see songs or learn to see the different parts of a word by chunking the word, by putting the word into small words. That's the format that we are going to use to read these words. Hi, Natalie. Thank you so much for joining the live. Thank you, guys. Please share the live. Share it with others who you know may want to read, learn how to read. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. You guys, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so let's begin. And remember, these strategies, they can go for older persons. They can also go for younger persons. So always be mindful that they are not just for one set of people. They are for anyone who are learning how to read so that they can read fluently. That's your end game. You want to be able to read fluently. So type in the comment section, guys, if there is a word that I've missed that you are not able to call. Type it in the comment section. And that is because I am just going with the words that looks longer, or those words that a lot of persons may miscall in English. So let's go ahead and let's attack the words. So when we break them down, we are actually attacking the word. So in this word, we can see a small word here. And that's a word that we might be very familiar with because it has the rhyme at, at. When we put it together, we have at, cat. And cat is an animal. The word is going to use the long E sound for the letter E. So we are not going to hear E. Instead, we are going to hear E. So we hear cat, E, and then we hear G, and then we hear O, and Y at the end can make two sounds. It can say I or E. In this word, we hear E, E, E. So let's go ahead now and put the word together. So my voice sounds a bit hoarse, guys. I'm so sorry for the hoarseness, but nevertheless, we are going to go here. So now we put the word together. Kate, G, an R, and E. This part, O-R-Y, we can say Ori, 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 because the O-R makes the sound R, the Y makes the sound E. It can be an ending for a lot of words. A lot of words have this ending. So you can learn that as an ending for word. And so it would make it easy for you. We have category, 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 category. Anybody knows the meaning for the word category? If you know the meaning, please type it in the comment section. Remember, we are also doing vocabulary. We want you to learn the words, what they mean, how to use them in English. So you may have heard somebody would have said before that they're putting things into a category or they're categorizing things. That would simply means that they're grouping things. This big word means to group things. So for example, if I have some leaves and I'm going to sort the leaves, right? I'm going to sort the leaves into different types. Like I'm going to sort them into simple leaves, compound leaves. Then I can simply group them according to which type they are. Or like when it's autumn, you can group the leaves into those that are yellow, those that are red, those that are brown. So you put all the brown ones together, you put all the yellow ones together, you put all the red ones together. That would be you putting them into category, into groups, or into sets. Or you can say that you're sorting them. You're sorting them, okay? So when you sort things, you're putting them into group. So those are some other words that we can use there for the word category. We can use the word group, we can use the word set, we can use the word sort, we can even use the word type to mean category. And you can also use the word group. And of course, you can use the word class. Class can be used too, because you're actually putting them into class. Guys, please share out the live if you know that somebody can benefit from this session. It can be your kids, it can be you, but please, if your kids are here, be sure to be there with them to guide them to just stick on this live alone, because really I don't encourage kids using TikTok, but if you are going to be with them to make sure that they just stick on this alone, that would be good. Okay, so that's our word category. Our next word that we are going to find very difficult would be this word. So E makes the sound eh, X makes the sound x. Put them together, we hear X, 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 and This word is a beginning for a lot of words. It's also a rhyme in smaller words. T and R together, we can blend them. T and R, chur, chur, whenever there is E at the end of the word. So this is actually the root word right here. This is the root word. The ly is a suffix that's added to change the meaning of the word. So here we have X, true, E is silent. The E gives power to the vowel that comes before it, which is an E. And this E would say E, calling its own name. So we hear X, true, eam, X, true, eam. So our word here is extreme. Extreme. Remember, this E is silent. And so it gives power to the other E. So the last sound that we hear in the word would be extreme. Ly in English at the end of words, it can say li or it can say lie. And that's because the Y at the end makes the sound I or E. So the L says L, the Y can say I or E. Hence the reason you can hear li or lie for the word extreme. Now, what I would advise you to do is to use both songs and see which one sounds correct to you. Okay, use both songs and see which one sounds correct. Because a lot of times it is very difficult to know which song to use unless you use both of them, and then you can say, okay, this is the word or that is the word. So our word here is, we're going to use the E sound. So we're going to hear li, L-E. Let's put it now together. X, true, eam, extreme. So our root word is extreme. The word is extreme. And li, extremely. Remember, for spelling purposes, that you have to remember that E is at the end of the word, even if you hear as the last song, extreme, the E is there, the E is silent. So you have to remember that for spelling purposes. And then you add the ly, li, extremely. If I say that something is extremely hot, what would it mean? If I say something is extremely hot, what does the word extremely means? Well, extremely, you guys can type it in the comment section if you know it, right? If you know it, type it in the comment section. I'm going to give you another example so it can help you to gain meaning. If I say the weather is extremely hot and so it causes persons to die, right? The weather is extremely hot and so it causes others to die. It would mean that the weather is what? It is very hot, right? Or it's hotter than normal. Or we can say that it is exceeding the normal exceeding the normal hotness, right? Sorry about that, guys. I was just concentrating a bit on the TikTok. Or we can say that it is another word that we can use extra. Extra. You would have heard extra before. Extra is a word that we can also use to mean extremely. Okay? So keep those words in your vocabulary and they would help you to use the word correctly. What is our next word? Our next word is this one. In this word, we hear D, our beginning sound. The A makes the sound A. So we don't hear A, we hear A. It's kind of strange, but This word is close to the word strange. You know, the pattern is the same. So remember, I'm just teaching you this pattern because this is a strange pattern. So the word strange, also the word orange, you would have the same combination where the A makes the sound A, and then you hear the N and G together, ng. So you hear d, ing, and then the G would make the sound j, and the ER says When we put it together, we can have the word d, in, and j, danger. So remember, when G comes before E, I, or Y, that's when we're going to hear a song like J. When G comes before E, I, or Y, that's when we hear a song like J. Always be mindful of that. That will help you a lot when you are reading in English. Good. So we have danger. Now this is the ending for a lot of English words. So this ending that we see here, it's an ending for a lot of English words. So all you have to know is that the pattern for this is that, remember, as I told you before, reading comes with patterns, right? The pattern for this is that the US makes the sound us and the O is silent. Just remember that. The O is silent, the US makes the sound us. As in that small word us or that rhyme us. Like when you talk about yourself and other persons together, it would be termed as us. So let's put the whole word together. So remember, this is the root word here. This is the root word. Our root word is d. Remember, the A makes a long sound. A, n, d, in. The G makes the sound j because it comes before E. And the ER says danger, danger. Remember, if you are using American English, that's when you'll hear as in the roll for it. But if you're using the British English, you'll hear the schwa sound uh. The schwa sound for ER is It's like a puff of air. So d, in, and j, danger, danger. The O is silent, and then we hear us. So let's say danger, us, danger, us, dangerous, dangerous. So our word is dangerous. When you hear something being dangerous, what does that mean? When you hear something being dangerous, what does that mean? Come on, guys, type in the comment section. What does dangerous mean? So if I say that the water is dangerous today because the swells are very high, what does that mean? The water is dangerous today because the swells, they are very high. What does it mean that the water is dangerous today? The swells are very high because the swells are very high. What would that mean? Okay. Well, dangerous means that something is like able to cause harm, or it is harmful, or you can say it is something that is threatening or wild, something that is risky, something that is uncertain. You can call it dangerous. So those are some of the words we can use to mean dangerous. Something that's harmful. Harmful can be used to mean dangerous. Also, something that is threatening or wild, we can use that to mean dangerous too, or something that is very risky, something that is hazardous. Hazardous. So any one of those words that you use can mean dangerous. But I would prefer you to use the word harmful, hazardous, or unsafe. Even unsafe. Those three words. Those would be the best ones to use. Okay? But the others, they can also be used. Something that's threatening is dangerous also. Okay? Our next word that we may find very difficult is this word. R. Then we have egg. Egg. Reg. E.g. in English is a rhyme. And we hear that rhyme egg. It's not how we spell the word egg as in the food that we eat, but it's pronounced egg, like in words like beg. That's an example. So it's a rhyme, a very popular rhyme in English. So here we have reg. The U makes a long song. We hear U, reg, U. And then here we can spot a word that might be in our vocabulary, or even this one. This is also a word that might be in your vocabulary, either or. So this word, the E at the end is silent. The A makes a long song. We hear A, eight, eight. The E silent. So this small word right here says eight. And I'm just breaking it down to the lowest for those who may not know. Okay? Eight. The L makes the sound L, L. And eight here is like when you eat something. So that's the past tense for the word eat. That's the past tense for the word eat. All right? It's the past tense for the word eat. Now we add l to it. And here we have l, eight, l, eight, l, eight. So our word now becomes late. Late. When we add the L, we have late. So that is a new word we have developed there, late. Late. And you know what late means. Late is the opposite for early. It simply means that you are not on time. It simply means that you're not on time. So there you have learned two vocabulary words. Hi, Shelroy. How are you doing? Here you have learned two vocabulary words already without us learning the vocabulary for the whole word. You have learned the vocabulary for the word eat, as in when you eat something, the past tense. And you have also learned the vocabulary for the word late, like when you are not on time. All right? So you have learned two vocabulary words there so far. So let's go to the whole word now to call the whole word. Now that we see that we can divide this word into three parts, for those of us who know this part, remember egg, reg, you, and late, regulate, regulate. So our word is regulate, regulate. Go ahead and say regulate. Go ahead and say regulate. All right, if you're done saying regulate so that you can pronounce the whole word, let's now think of what it means. Let's now think of what it means. Regulate. So when you regulate something, what does that mean? When you regulate something, what does that mean? So when you regulate something, it simply means that you are controlling it. You are managing it. or you want to balance it, right? When you regulate something, you're controlling it, or you want to balance it, or you want to manage it, or another word that we can use for regulate is the word adjust. So you want to adjust something. If you want to adjust it, then you are regulating it, okay? So anytime you start making adjustments, you start changing it and you start adding things to it or taking away things, then you are regulating it, okay? So for example, something that we would try to regulate. What are some things that we try to regulate? We try to regulate our metabolism. Yeah, we try to regulate our metabolism to make sure that our bodies function well. What else do we regulate? Is there anything else that you regulate from day to day? There are lots of things that we regulate. Come on, guys, type in the comment section. Remember, this is your time to show that you understand the vocabulary for the word. All right? Remember, it is your time to show that you understand the vocabulary for the word. What are some things that you control? What are some things that you adjust on a day-to-day basis? I want you to use the vocabulary. I want you to use the vocabulary, guys. Come on. Use the vocabulary. Come on. Come on, guys. For example, that's something that we might want to regulate in our everyday life. Come on, guys. So like, for example, we regulate our um use of money. Money is a thing that we regulate our use of it, right? We adjust how we use it or we control how we use it according to our um finance or according to our budget, according to how much money we have to spend. So that's something that we would regulate. Even your own learning is something that you regulate, because it's something that you would adjust um, in terms of you trying to learn new things. You would adjust the way that you go about it. You would control the amount of things that you would learn on a day-to-day basis. So you can regulate your own learning. All right. Okay, our next word is this word. In this word, we see E and M, saying M, like in words like them, him, stem, those words. So E and M here creates a rhyme. So we put this together. We have T, M, tem. Then we have P and temper. And then we have A. Also, we have CH, sound from the T. The T here makes a CH sound. Ch. And then we have UR saying and the E at the end is silent. So here, what we actually have is the ending that says ch, ch. So we hear the sound as O. We hear it as a schwa sound in this word, okay? We hear it as a schwa sound. We don't hear we don't roll it like that. When it comes to this word, you hear the schwa sound. So you hear ch, sorry, the puff of air, So here, the ending is cho, like in the word picture. in the word capture, those words have this same ending, ch, ch. All right. In this part of the word where we see PR saying, instead of it saying here, it's actually not saying it's saying re. Okay? It's saying re. That's the song we actually hear from it. So in this word, we actually hear tem, pre, and we hear a, and we hear ch. Temperature, 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 temperature. Right? You will not really hear people saying temperature, temperature, right? On a day-to-day basis, that's not what you hear. You'll not hear temperature, temperature. So I go to the doctor and the doctor checked my temperature, temperature, right? Not temperature. So always remember that the ER here, it is twisted. And so we do not hear we hear re. So temporary and ch, temperature, temperature. Say the word so that you can learn it. Temperature, temperature. Say the word so you can learn it. The word is temperature. The word is temperature, temperature. All right, what does the word temperature mean? What does the word temperature means? If I say that she has a high temperature, what would that mean? She has a high temperature. What would that mean if somebody has a high temperature? What would that mean if somebody has a high temperature? Or what if I say today's temperature is really high? What does that mean? Okay. Type in the comment section, guys, so I can know that you know what the word temperature means. Okay, so temperature, it's actually a measurement of heat, right? It's a measurement of heat. So it tells the amount of heat that is in the atmosphere or that is in your body. The temperature tells the amount of heat that is in the atmosphere or the amount of heat that is in your body. Or it could tell the coldness in your body or the coldness in the atmosphere. All right. So temperature tells to what degree it is cold or to what degree it is hot. So when you're talking about temperature, you're telling how hot or how cold something is. And that's a simple definition that you would get from as low as kindergarten. Temperature means how hot or how cold something is. All right. Good. So we have 2 more words to go. So our next word, we have true sound, just like we had in extreme. We hear true. So I'm expecting you to remember that song. Then we have an, which is a small word. An, that's a small word. A small, small word. And that's like when we say, I have an egg, or I have an apple. So it comes before words that begin with a vowel. An. So here we have tran. And then we can see another word here, a small word that we might be so familiar with. S and P together, we have sp. So we say sp, O-R, or sport. And then we have t, sp, ort, Sport. 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 Our word here is sport. Sport. Like when you play sport, as in the game, any game, you would call it a sport. That is this word, sport. So if you didn't know this small word by itself, now you know it, sport. Sport. So let's now put our whole word together. Tran. So we have tr, and tran, sport. Transport. 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 So on an everyday basis, most of us, we use a transport. On an everyday basis, most of us, we use a transport. What is a transport? What is a transport? So I'm going to give you an example of a transport. Your car, a bike, even you walking, that is also a transport. A van, a bus, a plane, a boat, a submarine, all those, they are transport. So let's go ahead now and see you tell me what is a transport. All right, a transport is anything that is used to carry goods or to carry people from one place to another, right? So transport is used to carry goods or people from one place to another, or to take people from one place to another, or we can say to transfer them, or we can say to move them. We can also say to bring people from one place to another, depending on how we are using it. That is what a transport is. So transport, it takes people. Transport, our word true and sport, sp, 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 or sport. This is a small word like games that you play. Together we have the word transport. And transport is used to move persons from one place to another. Please, guys, tap the screen. Thank you. And share the live if you can. All right. So you are doing very well with those words. Now let's go ahead and some of you, you may be familiar with English, so you may wonder why I'm taking this long with some of the words. It's to make sure that even the smallest or the learner that is now starting beginning the language could actually learn the words, okay? And it would help you to reinforce them too. Okay, so in this word, which is our final long word, we have the E making the sound E, Q and U together. They always go in English together. We hear the sound who, E, who. The A makes the sound A. T makes the sound T. And OR says O. Let's put it together now. E, who, A. Equate. Equate. Equator. Equator. All right. So that's how we blend it together there, because we don't really see any small words in the word, right? There's no small word in the word. The OR we know says O. We could have gotten the word equate if there was an E at the end, but the E is not there, which is the root word for the word equator. The E is not there. So then we had no choice but to sound out the whole word. All right. So let's try it again. So next time you see this word, you're able to call it. Let's try it again, because we want you, next time you see it, we want you to be able to call it. All right. Don't forget. Tap the screen, guys. Tap, tap, tap. Those of you who are on TikTok, Tap, tap, tap. All right, so let's go ahead now. Song it again. E, the Q on U, U, equate, and then we add A. So we hear E, U, A, T, and O, equator, equator. Are you familiar with the word equator? If you live in the tropics, like in the Caribbean and those places, you'll be very familiar with the word equator. Because, hi Janine, if you live in the tropics or in the Caribbean, you should be very familiar with the word equator. So the equator is actually a line that cannot be seen. And this line is actually around the middle of the earth. That's where the equator is. It's actually around the middle of the earth. All right. So remember, it's a line that cannot be seen. So you might hear it's an imaginary line. If you know that word, imaginary means it cannot be seen, right? And that line is around the earth. So then the equator, what it does, please tap the screen, guys, is that it divides the earth into northern and southern hemisphere. So remember, the equator is that line that cannot be seen. It's around the earth and it is in the middle, the middle. And so it goes around it. It goes around it. So remember, the earth is like a ball and the equator goes around it. So let's draw the earth here. So if this is the earth like a ball, the equator goes right here around the middle of it. So it goes around it, right around it. And so it divides the earth into northern and southern hemisphere. So the northern part would be this part that is at the top. And the southern part would be this part that is in the south. Remember, north, south. Okay, so that's a bit of geography for you guys there. A bit of geography. A bit of geography for you guys. You think you understand what it is? So the equator is actually halfway between the North Pole and the South Pole. So it is at 0 degrees latitude. And if you want, you can look up more about the equator. The equator, you can look up more about it. So you can learn about the equator. Hi, Kezron, how are you? And thank you, wonderful people who are here. Please tap the screen, guys. Another word that I would do is this word, and that's the reason why I would do this word is because I know. Because sometimes some of us, we see the S at the end, we might forget that the E is silent. So the E is silent, guys. The E is silent. The E is silent. And the E gives power to the O to call its name. So the O would say O. So it's not going to say O. It would say O. We put the word together, P, all, pole. We add the S after knowing what the root word is, because the root word is pole, pole, pole. When we add the S, we have the word poles, poles. We have the word poles. All right, so that's a very easy one for you. So what is a pole? What is a pole? What is a pole? What does it mean when we say we have a pole? And you're familiar. I just use the word pole by telling you that the equator is between the North and the South Pole. It is at 0 degrees between both of them. So it is halfway between each pole. It's the middle right there. So the pole is like a pillar. The pole is a long, slender, and it is wrong. A long, slender, wrong item you call it a pole. It's very long, pretty long, and it is round and it is slender. So it's not too fat and it's not too bony. It is slender. I should say it's not too bony, like over bony, or over thin or overly narrow. Okay. It has a normal cute look when it comes to its size, right? It's not too thin, right? It's not too thin, but it's slender and it is round and it can be made from wood and it can also be made from metal. Yeah. Like those electric poles that you have around you every day, those that has like the wires attached to your home, like in the case of you getting your electricity, in the case of you getting your um use of telecommunication, in the case of you getting use of cable. Yeah. These electric poles, they are important for that. So those are poles that you would see all the time around you. Yeah. So a pole can also be called a pillar. Yeah, in some cases it's like a pillar. Or some people call them post. Some people call the poles post. Okay, for those of you who do not know this word right here, this word says eat. We can see the word eat in it. So E and A together in this word says E. Remember the E makes a sound, so the E is what you're hearing. The A is silent. Always remember the A for spelling purposes. So we hear eat, heat. All right. The T makes a sound, heat. And our final word is this one. In this one, the reason why I'm going to do this one, because the A is silent and the E and the R goes together to make the sound just like in danger. We hear it's the same thing. The ER would go together to say and the A is silent. So in spelling this word, you always have to remember that the A is there in between it and the A is silent. Okay? And the TH, we hear tongue between our teeth. So we hear earth, earth, earth. Our word is earth, earth. We add the S, then we have earths, earths. When we add the apostrophe S like that, remember the apostrophe shows us that the noun here, earth, owns something. And what does earth own? It owns the temperature. The temperature. All right, so we got these words together now. Let's song them over again. So our first word here is hurricane. Hurricane. That is a word that we have been doing for the last 4 or 5 times we came live. We have been doing that word hurricane. So by now you should know the word. However, I'm not going to take it for granted because we know sometimes we have new persons on the live. So the A at the end is silent. The A says A because the E gives power to the A to make the sound A. So we hear in, cane, cane. This cane is like sugar cane, or it is cane like the piece of, well, some people call it stick, but the tool that blind people would use to walk, the stick that the blind people use to walk, it is called a cane. Also, police officers, they would use a cane. The tool that they put in their back pocket, it's like a piece of stick that is called a cane. Then we have U and R together. And then we have E. Hurry, and then we have keen. Hurricane, hurricane, hurricane. So our word here is hurricane, and that's our dominant word because that's what we are studying today. Our story is all about hurricane, hurricane. So always practice to say the words 3 times so that you can master them. Hurricane, hurricane, hurricane. All right, let's go to our next word. Category, 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 category. And we have cat, we have E and G and O, and the Y at the end says E. Category. So we have already broken down all these words if you want to type for them. Now we are pronouncing them to make sure that we remember them to read fluently. Category. And we can see that word 2 times in our story. So we're going to identify the 2 times. So when we meet the word, we are already able to call it fluently. Our next word, extremely, extremely, extremely. Next one, dangerous, 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 dangerous. Regulate, regulate, regulate. Earths, 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 earths. Temperature, 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 temperature. Transport, 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 transport. Heat, heat, heat. Equator, 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 equator. Poles, 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 poles. All right. Now let's see if we can read through the story fluently because we know all the big words. The smaller words are words that keep repeating themselves in this story. Like, for example, the word the. You're going to see this word the repeating itself here. The. The word they. You're going to see it repeating itself. They. All right. So, two. You're going to see two repeating itself. Two and two. From and from. So it makes it easy for you to read the words. You're going to see the here again. So you see, it's so easy for you to read the words. So only word that we didn't really do is like 3 words or 4 words. We did not really do. But guys, it's okay. The ones that we didn't do, you will be able to call them easy. Can, go, one. We see can again. Be, 5, and so. As yet. All right. So now that we see those words, let's try to call them. And those of you who are on TikTok, thank you so much for being here. Those of you on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you being here, guys. You know, it's a pleasure to have you reading with us. So let's go ahead now and let's read through the story. We're going to try to be very fluent because we have learned the parts of the words and we just need to be fluent with each part. Hurricane can go from category 1 to category 5. And so they can be extremely dangerous. Yet they help to regulate the Earth's temperature as they transport heat from the equator to the poles. And you're going to notice that I said the equator, but then I said the poles. Always remember, you say the when this word comes before a word that begins with a consonant, and you say the when it comes before a word that begins with a vowel. Okay? So let's go ahead and finish our reading. This time we're going to be using orange color to go through our words. So we just went through word by word. Now we're going to do phrases. Hurricane can go from category 1 to category 5. And so they can be extremely dangerous. Yet they help to regulate the Earth's temperature as they transport heat from the equator to the poles. All right. If you get it, say me. If you get it, say me. All right. So we're going to erase all this that helped us in the first place to, you know what? We're going to practice reading it one more time. And we're going to practice by using phrases again. Hurricanes can go from category 1 to category 5. And so they can be extremely dangerous. Yet they help to regulate the Earth's temperature as they transport heat from the equator to the poles. If you got it, say me. All right. So now, guys, we're going to try to read right through without any mistakes. We're going to take off our cues or clues. We're going to take them off. And we're going to try to just read right through without any mistakes. So if you think that you can read through without mistakes, then let's go. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? We are ready. We are ready. Let's go. Now we are going to be reading by sentences. Hurricane can go from category 1 to category 5. And so they can be extremely dangerous. Yet they help to regulate the Earth's temperature as they transport heat from the equator to the poles. Think you got it? If you think you got it, say me. Everything you got to say me. All right, we're going to increase our pace a bit. We're just going to increase our pace a bit. So let's go. Let's try to increase our pace a bit. Hurricane can go from category 1 to category 5. And so they can be extremely dangerous, yet they help to regulate the Earth's temperature as they transport heat from the equator to the poles. If you think you got it, let's try it one more time. Remember, we are trying to make sure that we are very fluent in what we are reading. Let's try it again. Hurricane can go from category 1 to category 5, and so they can be extremely dangerous. Yet they help to regulate the Earth's temperature as they transport heat from the equator to the poles. And you would notice that I had a pause right here, to the poles. I keep dropping at that point, dropping the pace. So try not to drop your pace like I do at that point. But let's see if we're going to improve it. Let's try to improve it. Hurricane can go from category 1 to category 5. And so they can be extremely dangerous. Yet they help to regulate the Earth's temperature as they transport heat from the equator to the poles. Did we do better at it? Yeah, I think we did. So guys, you can take a screenshot and you can practice to read these words in your own time. And also, don't forget, you guys can should have been recording the vocabulary, which would have been very good for you for your practice in your spare time. Thank you for spending the hour to read with me. And I hope that I would see you in the next reading session, guys. And I hope that you did learn about hurricanes. Next time we come back, which is a bit later, we'll do more on hurricanes. And I promise you that this would be our last piece of recording when it comes to hurricane. This will be the last time that we would read about hurricanes, okay? So our next practice after today will not be on hurricanes, all right? Are you guys happy for that? I hope that you're happy for that we are not going to be reading about hurricanes anymore. So let's just go through the words that we've learned. We learned the word hurricane, category, extremely, dangerous, regulate, Earth's temperature, transport, equator, pause, heat. Those were our main words that we have learned today. And don't forget that we said whenever you use this word, the, before a word that begins with a vowel, we would say the. So the equator, and this we'll say the, because it comes before a word that begins with a consonant. So the poles, but here we say the equator. And so up here we'll say the earth. And so up here we'll say the earth, okay? All right, guys, so we have learned it all. And we already learned the vocabularies, so just keep practicing the vocabulary. Keep practicing the vocabulary. So let's practice to read it one more time. And after this one more time, we'll stop there. Hurricane can go from category 1 to category 5. And so they can be